Hey everybody, I know, right? Just like the title says, WTF, as in WTF has KLR Nomad been? It has been a minute since I've made a video, and there are quite a few reasons for that, quite a few. So, I was going to continue making some videos for the channel, but I want to talk about where I've been, where I'm going, just so there's some sense of continuity with this whole thing. First of all, it's been probably nearly 2 years, I think. I'll have to look at the dates, but it's been well over a year anyway, since I was making moto vlogging videos. And part of that reason was life. Things happen in life you're not expecting, and it can change your trajectory or just distract you for a little while and dump you right back on your original trajectory, which is kind of what's happened with some caveats. So yeah, first of all, I was underemployed, considerably so. Had gotten divorced, and not going to get into a lot of personal stuff, but anyway, had moved from where the state I previously lived in up here to the Charlotte area, and after divorce, and my father passed, and things just went downhill from there. I mean, that was pretty downhill, obviously. But now my plans to just uproot, hop on the old KLR here, Bertha, as I affectionately refer to her, and travel at least the nation, if not the entire set of Americas. We'll see how that goes. And then, like I said, father passed, elderly mother left alone. I'm her only living relative, only person to assist in her dealings. So then I ended up getting a pretty damn good job. Decent pay, lots of benefits. And I'm thinking, okay, I could do this to set myself up better for motor camping full-time in the future. And so I'm doing a little bit of that. Then a woman from my distant past, high school, and I found each other again 30 some odd years later. Went down that route. She tried to domesticate me, and it just didn't stick. Nothing against her, just not for me. And so I haven't been making videos, haven't been going on camping trips, all that for that approximate year or so. And another thing was becoming very evident to me as I was making these videos is that, and you'll see some people that are on YouTube, some full-time YouTubers, that have come to the same realization that the amount of work involved in having a channel monetized enough to support you as your sole form of income is more and more unrealistic. The big thing is and everybody talks about the algorithm. YouTube's algorithm is, against them. And yes, YouTube makes it very difficult. Another thing that makes it difficult is oversaturation, especially in the moto vlogging world. There are dozens upon dozens, if not hundreds, of moto vloggers out there. And how many videos can you watch on somebody taking the tat, riding the tat, or riding this BDR or that BDR? How many times are you going to want to see that same piece of terrain ridden by different people? Okay, yeah, maybe a couple. Just this guy's a pro. This guy's just bought his first bike 2 days ago, and there, you know, be some differences in that content. Yes. But after a while, is enough of it going to be watched? Am I, let's say, going to make enough content that is valuable enough to the general public to fund my existence? Not likely. Realistically, not likely. I am not engaging enough. I know me. I don't think I could put out enough engaging content to draw enough people to my channel on a weekly basis to fund my entire existence and my life. Even moto camping, as inexpensive as that is. So tie that into elderly mother, helping her keep her home of decades, and not wanting to go to, you know, a nursing home or any of that sort of thing. So that's the least I owe her that much, right? Sometimes when life is really bad, I'm like, why did you have me? But, you know, we all go through that. So the other option, I've got two options. I still plan to go moto camping full time. The planned for option, plan A. I've got 6 years until I can draw Social Security. In that 6 years, work the new job. Well, it's not new now. I've been there a couple of years. Work this job, make as much money as I can, set myself up as best I can for 6 years from now, and then moto camp on whatever, you know, I sell everything I don't absolutely need and can stand emotionally to get rid of, sentimentally, and live on Social Security on the road. Completely possible. That is definitely enough money to moto camp full time, especially since it's, to me, I camp. I don't glamp, and I don't use hotels very often. I mean, the weather's got to be really bad, and it surprised me, and I didn't have time to get out of this weather system, relocate to outside of a bad weather system. Then I go to a hotel. But with that financial situation, I'll be able to do that comfortably. I won't be depending on YouTube's algorithm or my content drawing enough viewers to fund me. It just makes a whole lot more sense. The other option, not to be, you know, negative, but if and when my mother passes before I turn 62, again, take everything that is then within my possession and sell it, put it in the bank, except for the very few things I just can't seem to get rid of, and that I would put in storage, and hit the road. So until then, I'm going to continue to make content, but it's going to be smaller in scale, probably less often, unfortunately, than I had at first intended, because I realized, and I started on this topic at the beginning of this video, even, you know, established YouTubers have found out that the amount of effort to produce a quality video on even a small amount of content is ridiculous. I enjoy it. I enjoy editing and making things cool and throwing in shots and photos and music and, you know, making it cool to watch. I enjoy doing that. But take a 2-day event, a 2-day ride, a 2-day whatever, a weekend, and it takes me a solid week of editing to put that together. And not saying, you know, all day for a solid week, but my evenings, because I do work 10 hours a day. So it takes me at least a solid week to put together, and I'm thinking 7 days, not 5, a video from even just 2 days of riding, camping, whatever. So that, being able to do that on a weekly basis right now is unobtainium, unrealistic. I've got other things to do. I've got to do laundry and cook and meal prep and exercise and all these things outside of work. So just not feasible. And then there's come another realization that some of you may not like, because you came to this channel based on KLR Nomad. The Gen 3 KLR, it had just come out when I started this channel, and I was talking about all the Farkles and riding with it and different types of riding you can do with it and all these things. And that's what drew, you know, the few of you that have subscribed, and I hope more do, for other reasons, because of the bike and the newness of the bike at that time. Again, that was a few years ago. Everybody and their brother has one of these now, and their sister and their mother's cousin. All the Farkles have been discussed. There's no Farkeldom has ceased to be new and improved, I think. Everything that needed to be done has been done, as far as that goes. So that content has dried up. Don't buy a Gen 3 KLR until you watch this video. How many of those are out there? Well, I mean, pretty much everybody's ridden one of these. It's going to at this point. So, again, how many of those videos can someone watch? But deeper than that, I've got, like I said, I haven't really been doing the moto camping thing for a year and a half because of life. But before that, I had amassed about 10,000 miles on this beast, and I learned a lot. My riding up until this, when I was a teenager, I rode two-stroke dirt bikes. As an adult in my 30s, I had a cruiser, and then I had this. Now, early on, as part of those two-stroke dirt bikes, after that, when I was 18, I first got my license, it was on Gen 1 KLR. Life was different. The market was different. What was out there was different. You didn't know the things we know now. We haven't seen the things we've seen now to judge it against anything. So yeah, got about 10,000 miles on this, 50-50-ish, you know, because I have to ride like 2.5 hours to get to the dirt from where I live. And that's one of the reasons this is better, or has been better for me than, say, a CRF 250L. Or even DR 650, which is much lighter. You know, it's 100 pounds lighter than this thing. But the the 55, 65 mile an hour 2-lane blacktop to get to the mountains, all this up here really helped, because I rode with guys. I was on this, they're on 250Ls and whatnot, and they would get to the dirt and be worn out. So for that, this has been fine. But I also used it, or tried to use it, as a commuter in the city of Charlotte, to and from work every day. There's some things about this that make that unfun. And it makes a lot of things unfun. It makes the dirt kind of unfun if you get into anything serious. I've got video of me doing single track on this. It was challenging, and I'm the type of person that enjoys challenge to a point. I don't want every time I ride in the dirt to be a life or the limb challenge. I want it to be fun at some point. And so no matter what fuel I put in this, it doesn't get any lighter. It's not like you can, an animal you can make lighter. But seriously, the things I've found about this have made me start to look elsewhere. And those things are, it's very top heavy. It's 500 with camping gear, or even, I try to go to the location, dump the camping gear, and then ride off-road. But even doing so, that with the racks and the bars and whatnot, and I'm still 500 plus. And then you put the camping gear on it, it's 550 plus, 560. And 39 horsepower and 5 gears, all the things we bitch about. And after a while, after 10,000 miles, I was just like, trying to go up a mountain pass and not even being able to maintain the speed limit, and I got a row of cars behind me laughing at me because they think I'm too scared to go around the turns, when this is just wound out. It's got, I shouldn't care about what other people think. All right, whatever. Still, I don't like not being able to do a 45 mile an hour speed limit up a mountain pass. This thing's wound out for everything it's got, and I can't go. I was on a group ride, and we were in the town at the base of a mountain pass, ate lunch, and then rode over the mountain to the campground. I got left. The V-Stroms and Tiger 800s and everything just left me. I was wound out and they disappeared. I got to camp like 35 minutes after they did. That sucks. When you're riding by yourself, you don't have that problem, but still, you're 35 miles an hour up a mountain pass that's got a 45 mile an hour speed limit. Traffic's backed up behind you. People are pissed. It's not cool. On the highway, I took this for a 4-hour ride last week up that mountain pass, just 2, and with nothing on the back. Unfun when I got to the hills. My butt was killing me after an hour and a half. I've tried a couple different seats. I can't find one that feels good for long distances. And then, you know, that get out on the highway, 65 mile an hour speed limit highway, and it's just pucker factor the whole way. Yeah, you know, change your front fender. Okay, well, I don't like the bozo looking cut off front fenders or the front fenders that are down low on the wheel. I think it looks stupid. And I don't ride those type of highways much on this. I've learned not to. But still, and you have to, even just 15 miles to get home on that, in that situation was pucker factor the whole way, getting tossed around by trucks going by. So put that up here. And then a year ago, I started thinking about sport touring. Okay. Sport touring is basically adventure riding, but your adventure is always on pavement. It's the way to summarize it if you're not familiar with it. You've got a bike that is powerful enough for the interstate. It's got luggage on it. It's sporty. It's got wind protection. It can handle the curves and the twisties and the mountain passes with ease. And I watched a video 2 weeks ago. Yammy Noob was like talking about why ADV bikes, because they've become the SUV of motorcycle world. Everybody buys them based on the marketing of, yeah, these are cool. They can go off road and hit jumps, and my 50-something fat ass is with a gray beard is going to go do that, and not likely, not most of us. They sell an image, and we buy into it. I bought into not that image. I just bought into, I wanted a bike that could do both. And I was looking for a different bike than this, but it was pandemic times, or just after pandemic, supply chain issue times. And I couldn't get anything else of substance. Everything was Supermoto. That's all they had in stock. And I didn't want that. I wanted something to go off-road. So this was my only option in my area. Plus, looking at my finances at the time, I had a shit job. So this is what I could afford. This is what was available. And there might have been KTMs and stuff out there, but I didn't even look at those because I couldn't afford those at the time. So, short story long, I looked at sport touring as maybe that's what I want to do full time. You're staying at campgrounds that are accessible by pavement, you're, occasional motel, hotel, or you're, stealth camping behind a church, that sort of life. Moto tramping, basically. And that's an option, maybe. Because one of the things that got me really looking at this is not an option, is when I'm in my 60s, I can barely pick this thing up now. When I drop it and I'm by myself, I can barely pick this thing up now. It's all I can do. Sometimes, depending on the angle, I have to download all my gear and then pick it up. When I'm in my 60s and beyond, I'm not going to be able to pick this thing up. So being able to pick up a bike when I'm older is one key piece of what I need to be on. especially if it's an ADV or dual sport type situation where I'm off pavement. If I'm on pavement and something like that happens, generally there's going to be people around that help me pick it up. Not this, but whatever bike. So all these elements come into my decision-making process. You know, I'm looking for something that when I'm older, I can pick it up, I can handle it. This thing's so top-heavy and tall that I'm real careful even now commuting what maneuvers I make in traffic or pulling into a parking lot or whatever, because I have dumped it in those situations on pavement because it's just so damn top-heavy. And you get it too slow, too much of an angle, or too much of this, or something's not just right because it was unexpected, and down you go. So being so concerned about that takes the enjoyment of the ride away for me. And again, many elements to my decision-making process. So I'll get into what bike I've chosen and have just purchased. I bought it 2 weeks ago. I've put 1,400 and some odd miles on it in 2 weeks. I took it on a 900-mile trip. Just got back last night, so I've got some stories to tell and some video to show, and that will be coming up when I get that all edited together. But yeah, so eventually, whether I end up sport touring full-time, well, we'll still be camping, I'll still be moto camping full-time, but whether it's off-road and on-road, we'll see. Depends on, I got 6 years. What bikes are coming out? The KLE 500. I thought about the Himalayan 450, but it's got the same issues going over a mountain pass this has, not enough balls. I watched Dork in the Road fight, shift up, shift down, shift up, shift, the same crap I'm doing with this. I don't want that. So for an ADV bike, it's got to be light. It's got to be powerful. It's got to be 6-speed. It's got to be fuel injected. So I've learned with this. Bertha here has been a great learning experience about what I really want, especially if I'm riding it every day full time. So we'll see what comes up. There's a couple I'm looking at right now in the ADV world. But who knows how many miles I'll have on my new bike by then. It'll probably be wore out, and I'll see what's available then. But we'll talk about the new bike in the next video. I'll show you what that is and how I came to that decision and how it performed on a 900-mile 900-mile 3-day trip moto camping. And but what I'll end up doing is when the time comes, I'll put the few things I can't bring myself to get rid of and stick them here, and this will be my hub, and then I'll go around and come back and check on my stuff once a year maybe. So, but anyway, old Bertha's been fun, been a great learning experience. Still gonna ride this one for a while until I make a choice. Occasionally I take it out every week or two for a little spin just to keep her in good shape, keep the battery charged up, keep the fluids moving, tires rolling. But yeah, well, like I said, this will be where my life goes when I go full-time moto camping. I'll put things in here that I can't bring myself to part with just yet.